Hello friends, welcome to a new video of Viaja. On this occasion we have visited one of the most emblematic and spectacular cities in Europe and the world, Venice. I can assure you that having seen it many times in movies or reports does not prevent it from surprising you, but like each place it has particularities that you should know so that your visit is perfect. Whether you are going for the first time or if you visited a long time ago, we leave you with this series of tips that will surely help you make your trip unforgettable. And as we always tell you, if you like the video, give it a like and subscribe, which is very important so that we can continue uploading new content from more destinations to the channel. Thank you so much. First tip. When to go. Although Venice is fantastic at any time of the year, the ideal is to visit it outside of the summer months such as July and August, months in which there are a huge number of tourists, which can become overwhelming. In addition to avoiding the heat typical of these dates, you will save a lot of waiting time in lines to visit the monuments or simply to sit on the terrace of a restaurant. Although it is true that the risk of rain is greater, the best times would be spring and autumn. On the other hand, regardless of temperatures, Christmas and of course, Carnival are two times in high demand by tourists. Second tip. How to get. You can get to Venice either at Marco Polo Airport or at Treviso Airport, which is further away from the city and where low-cost companies usually arrive. If you arrive in Marco Polo, although there are buses that take you to the city, we recommend that you take the water bus from the Ali Laguna company that will take you across the water, which will be a magnificent experience, especially if you are visiting the city for the first time. You can buy tickets on their website or upon arrival at the airport. A more comfortable option, although also more expensive, is to take a transfer or a water taxi. If, on the other hand, you arrive in Treviso, the most economical option is the bus, which will take you to the city in an hour, and the most comfortable, although more expensive, option is a transfer.z. Tip number 3. Where to stay. If money is no object, we recommend staying as close to St. Mark's Square or the Rialto Bridge as possible. Another cheaper option that we recommend is staying in the Santa Croce neighborhood. But if you have an even tighter budget, the cheapest option is to book a hotel in the neighboring town of Mestre. Mestre is perfectly connected to Venice by train. The trip only lasts 10 minutes, the cost of the ticket is low and the frequency of passage is high. Fourth tip. How to get around the city. As you know, Venice is an island and there is no road transport within it, although it is connected by road to Piazzale Roma, where buses and transfers arrive, and by train to the adjacent Santa Lucia station. From this point the tour is done on foot or by boat through the canals. The water equivalent of the bus in Venice is the Vaporetto, which is also a great option for exploring the Great Canal. If you do, try sitting outside the ship to look at palaces and museums. If you anticipate that you will have to use the Vaporetto several times during your stay, remember that it is cheaper to purchase multi-day passes since the single ticket is quite expensive. You can reserve them through their website. Tip number 5. Transportation of suitcases. Once you arrive in Venice, if you are staying in the city, you should take into account the location of your hotel, as transporting large suitcases or baby strollers around the city can be complicated given the large number of stairs and bridges over canals. In this sense, it is much more comfortable to travel by Vaporetto, taxi or directly by transfer from the airport depending on your interests or your financial possibilities allow it. Tip number 6. Dirt and bad smells. Even if you have heard on occasion that Venice is dirty or gives off bad smells, the reality is different. In general, it is a very clean city. Although it is true that many exterior facades blacken or deteriorate due to the effect of water and humidity. This makes many streets look somewhat abandoned or deteriorated. We must take into account the difficulty of its maintenance due to humidity. Tip number 7. High water, Acqua Alta. Since October 2020, Venice has had the Mose system, a pharaonic public work that consisted of a system of dikes and floodgates that has considerably reduced the problem of the rising tide that flooded a good part of the city. It would be necessary for a very exceptional Acqua Alta to occur for the city to flood again as before. Tip number 8. Street Labyrinth. The center of Venice is certainly a labyrinth of streets, alleys, canals, and bridges, so it could be easy to get lost. You will have to resort on more than one occasion to your GPS and the magnificent street signage, whose signs indicate the direction to the main places in the city. Tip number 9. The Great Canal and how to cross it. The Grand Canal constitutes a true aquatic highway for the city along its 4 kilometers. To cross it you have up to 4 bridges. The famous Rialto Bridge that connects the Sestiere or neighborhood of San Marco with San Polo. Constitution Bridge made by the Spanish Santiago Calatrava that connects Piazzale Roma with the Santa Lucia station. The Ponte Descalzi that allows crossing from the Santa Lucia station in the Cannaregio Sestiere to the Santa Croce Sestiere. And the Accademia Bridge, which connects the Dorsoduro Sestiere with San Marco. But as it may be insufficient since the distance between bridges is great, you can also use the so-called traghettos, a type of gondolas whose piers are located at 7 points of the Great Canal and which are used to cross from one bank to the other. In any case, we recommend that you take into account the operating hours. 10th tip. Eat in Venice. Eating and drinking in Venice is generally quite expensive, but to adapt the options to all budgets, we can divide them into 3. The first would be the restaurants, which in general are very focused on tourism, although the so-called trattorias are somewhat more familiar. The second option would be the so-called osterias or baccaris, where you can eat sachettis that are similar to pinchos or tapas and accompany them with a spritz, a bitter drink very popular in Venice. The third option would be takeaway food such as sliced pizza. In any case, there are many options. A great experience, although not cheap, is to enjoy a good cappuccino in one of the historic cafes in St. Mark's Square that have live music. Tip number 11. Fountains. In Venice there are fountains distributed in many parts of the city with fresh, drinkable water, where you can refill your bottles, which is important to keep in mind especially if you go during very hot weather and do not want to constantly buy bottled water. Tip number 12. Get on a gondola. Gondola riding is one of the most typical and popular activities in Venice. There are 2 rates, during the day until 7 p.m. or after that time, which is more expensive. In times of fewer tourists it may happen that when you walk through the alleys and canals you may find gondoliers who will invite you to ride. In this case, if you are interested, you should ask the price, and even haggle if it is too high for you. Tip number 13. What to visit in Venice. Getting lost in the streets of the city is one of the great pleasures to enjoy in this destination, and our recommendation is that you walk through all the sexteries or neighborhoods of the city, enjoying its squares, called campos, its churches, and its canals. However, a tour of the city's essential places should at least include the Rialto Market, with its fish, fruit and craft stalls, is a good place to take the pulse of the most authentic Venice. The aforementioned Rialto Bridge, without a doubt, the most famous in the city. Next to the bridge, we recommend that you go up to the Mirador on the terrace of the Fondaco dei Tedeschi shopping center. The visit is free, although you will have to book at least 20 days in advance. The spectacular St. Mark's Square is the nerve center of the city, where the main attractions are located, such as the impressive St. Mark's Basilica, which requires a paid entry, and we recommend that you buy it on their website to avoid queues, although it will have a higher price. Next to the basilica is the Doge's Palace, a magnificent building whose extensive route includes places such as the Golden Staircase, the Duke's Apartment, the main council room, the dungeons, or the Bridge of Sighs, among others. It is cheaper to purchase tickets in advance on their website. Another activity you can do in the square is to climb the Campanile, the famous bell tower where you will enjoy great views of the entire city and the lagoon. Walking towards the east, you can reach the Contarini del Bovolo Palace, where you can admire its beautiful staircase. Don't miss out on this list of essential places in the Dorso Duro area, from the Accademia Galleries to the Church of Santa Maria della Salute, whose entry is free. Finally, we recommend that you pay a visit to the islands of Murano, famous for its glass crafts, and Varano. They are perfectly connected by Vaporetto, or you can take an excursion with the Alla Laguna Company. Tip number 14. Other nearby places and cities that you can visit. Venice is very well connected by train to many cities in Italy, so if you have more time for your trip, we recommend that you visit nearby towns such as Verona or Padua. You can also rent a car and tour Lake Garda, visiting beautiful towns such as Sirmione, Malsasine, or the sanctuary of Santa Maria della Corona. And if you have more days for your trip, a good option is to combine the visit with other Italian cities such as Florence and Milan, which are approximately 2.5 hours by train from Venice. We have reached the end of the video. We remind you that if you liked it, please give a like and subscribe, which is important so that we can continue uploading new content from more destinations to the channel. See you at the next one.